Welcome to the Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. This week has been quite eventful. The Biden administration announced new COVID restrictions for all 4 million federal workers in another push to get them vaccinated. Businesses are divided on the vaccine mandate. Some are adopting the practice while some oppose it. The DOJ is continuing to abuse its power. After dropping cases against nursing home scandals and CCP military members, the agency denied access to Republican lawmakers who are investigating mistreatment of January 6 defendants. Arizona auditors completed their third round of ballot counting, and there was some drama during the final audit process. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look at this week's highlights together. After Veteran Affairs became the first federal agency to mandate vaccines on Monday, the White House announced strict new rules for unvaccinated federal employees. A new statement released on Thursday said, all federal workers, including contractors not fully vaccinated, will be required to wear a mask, physically distance, comply with weekly or twice weekly testing, and be subject to restrictions on official travel. The rules are a nuisance for the unvaccinated and are meant to prompt more to get the shot. But is it as simple as that? Isn't this another instance of the federal government centralizing its authority and trying to control people's lives? The federal government employs more than 4 million Americans. About half of them are civilian workers located throughout the country and across the world. The Biden administration is setting precedent in the federal government so all other employers will follow. It said, these new rules should not only apply to the federal workers and on-site contractors, the administration will encourage employers across the private sector to follow its strong model. According to the White House, compulsory vaccination in the military is on the table. Biden is currently directing the Defense Department to look into how and when that will happen. Yesterday, we reported that Matt Saver, chairman of Liberty Counsel, said the COVID shots have only been approved for experimental and investigational use. Under the Federal Emergency Use Authorization Law, these shots cannot be mandated or administered without the free and full consent of the individual. Federal employees are also protected by the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. So what exactly is Biden thinking? Does he not realize the pushback he'll get? It appears the administration is also eyeing the Postal Service as its next target to mandate vaccines. The American Postal Workers Union issued a statement this week opposing the administration's mandatory vaccination. The union argued it isn't the role of the federal government to do so. The U.S. Postal Service employs more than 500,000 workers. Another labor union, United Auto Workers, voiced its opposition too. It told the Associated Press that the union encourages workers to get vaccinated, but it's against mandates because some have religious and health concerns. And very importantly, encouraging vaccination is not making the life of the unvaccinated extremely difficult. The latter is like forcing people to get vaccinated. That's what the new federal rules are about to do. But there are companies that have issued vaccine mandates. Big tech, for example. Facebook and Google announced employees would have to show proof they've been fully vaccinated before returning to work. The CEO of Union Square Hospitality Group, Danny Mayer, announced his restaurant group will require indoor customers to show they have been vaccinated against COVID. Restaurant employees will have 45 days to get the vaccine. But the CEO didn't say how he would enforce the mandate, perhaps firing those who don't comply? Union Square Hospitality oversees more than a dozen restaurants. Most of them are in New York City, such as Gramercy Tavern, Manhattan, and the Union Square Cafe. Mayer is also the founder of Shake Shack, a hamburger fast food chain, but the new vaccination policy won't apply to the Shake Shack for now. Mayer made the announcement on CNBC. He claimed the vaccine requirement is the most logical thing he's ever seen. The most logical? But we have reservations about that claim. Requiring diners and drinkers to show proof of vaccination will turn away a sizable number of customers, given that half of all Americans are unvaccinated. Most restaurant owners oppose the idea for this very reason. After a year of lockdown, restaurants are yearning for more customers, not turning people away. On a fun note, an Italian eatery in Huntington Beach, California, Basilico's Pasta e Vino, has put up a notice that it will only serve unvaccinated customers. The restaurant also founded Make Restaurants Great Again. According to MRGA, Basilico's has not just resisted the lockdowns, it openly and aggressively attacked them in defense of American liberty and freedom. In fact, the Italian eatery has never shut down. It has remained fully operational without any restrictions, including banning masks throughout the entire pandemic. MRGA was created as a platform to inspire and encourage other businesses, especially restaurants, to defy all lockdowns. Someone commented, "Beauty in capitalism, private businesses can make up their own rules." But Mayor might just be an example of corporate surrendering to authorities. Several New York City government officials already applauded Mayor's decision. Mayor Bill de Blasio's press secretary, Bill Nyhart, called it a bold move supported and encouraged by de Blasio, with the full backing of the NYC government. It is bold because Mayor's doing it at the expense of losing business. It also makes you wonder how many companies, how many hospitals and schools are imposing vaccine mandates because the government pressed them hard to do so. Otherwise, it's against common sense, as you would lose employees, customers, and hurt students. Besides the COVID-19 vaccines, masking is a hot topic again this week. The CDC altered its guidance, saying fully vaccinated individuals should wear masks indoors as well. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky cited worrisome new science that allegedly says people who contracted the virus post-vaccination carry the same amount of virus as unvaccinated people. What Walensky was trying to say was that the fully vaccinated can spread the disease too. The CDC's inconsistent messaging immediately drew significant pushback, including from the left. Some liberal journals and medical professionals were blasting the federal agency's awkward narrative as discouraging people to get vaccinated. What's more awkward? Confused and doubting individuals were looking for the new science that the CDC mentioned, but it was nowhere to be found. It turns out the data behind the decision hasn't been published or even peer-reviewed. Upon learning this, some Democrat officials who already adopted the new guidance had to recall their plans. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio said he'll delay masking orders until the data is made available. Republicans basically scoff at the idea because for the longest time, we haven't seen proof that areas with a mask mandate perform any better than areas without it. Nonetheless, reimposing the mask mandate will be extremely difficult. How many would really follow it? A flight attendant union conducted a survey of roughly 5,000 flight attendants recently. 85% have faced unruly passengers. More than half had at least 5 incidences this year. About 1 in 6 said they experienced a physical incident, and many of these issues stem from passengers refusing to wear masks. The union is now urging the Justice Department to help prosecute unruly customers. However, based on our recent observations, the DOJ has developed a tendency of confusing right and wrong. To have the Justice Department involved doesn't sound like a good idea for the union. The DOJ also denied 4 Republican lawmakers access to inmates arrested in connection with the January 6th breach of the Capitol. There have been reports that about 50 of those prisoners are being mistreated at the DC Central Detention Facility. They have been severely beaten, held in solitary confinement, and denied access to evidence about their own cases. Is it just me, or does this sound like the Chinese Communist Party? Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Louie Gohmert, Matt Gaetz, and Paul Gosar became concerned. As Congress has oversight of federal prisons and Gohmert has toured a number of prisons and detention facilities in the past, the 4 wanted to check the actual conditions of the jail protesters to see if the allegations are true. But the request fell on deaf ears. There has been zero response for months from the DOJ and the DC Department of Corrections to their letters and requests. Finally, the congressmen decided to head down to the facility. They were allowed into the lobby, but were quickly told by a corrections officer that they were trespassing. "My gosh, the government is upside down," Gohmert said. The correction officer then said that her supervisor would speak to them outside.
The supervisor came down, was standing right here, and turned her back on me. The other one says she won't talk anymore, that we're trespassers. She's not saying any more than that. We have turned a corner. We're in totalitarian Marxist territory here. This is the way third world people get treated. People that appropriate money, that vote to appropriate money, they are normally given a chance in a republic, a democratic republic, given a chance to inspect that for which they are paying. These people say they've gone on total secret. They're not letting any of us see how they treat prisoners.
She went back in and they locked us out.
We're currently locked out from, let's confirm this. All right, let's go see if we can open the doors. It'll be really interesting. Come on, camera. Oh, let's see. All right, Matt Gaetz is going to go and see if we can, if we're actually locked out. Florida Representative Matt Gaetz is currently locked out of the DC Correctional Facility. This is, oh, let's see if they lock him out too. How can you, an attorney is here to visit his client, and they have locked him out from seeing his client.
Gaetz called it a bait and switch because they were tricked into leaving the facility and then barred from re-entering. According to Gohmert, the supervisor came down and turned her back on him. He said what they experienced were authoritarian tactics displayed by the DOJ and DC Department of Corrections. It only aggravated concerns for the January 6th defendants and for all the people jailed in the Central Detention Facility in DC. Gaetz said they'll take action in Congress to look into this issue. And coming up, auditors finish counting ballots in Arizona, and a teen raises money for homeless veterans. But before we continue, I want to take a second to ask all my friends watching and the live chat family to please take a moment to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, but most importantly, share this video. I'm depending on you, my friends, and the power of word of mouth to spread the truth. Also, to support the Eye Opener team, please donate to the show or purchase yourself a mug that matters. You can find the link in the description below, and your support, as always, is greatly appreciated. Salute. Moving on to election audits, auditors in Maricopa County on July 28th finished the third ballot count. The audit team is now compiling a draft report of the results. The third set of numbers was added because the initial hand recount didn't match with their numbers from the county. Workers led by the audit co-chair, Randy Pullen, tabulated the ballots for the third round using special counting machines. A little drama played out this time. Audit liaison Ken Bennett was blocked from the audit floor after he shared some preliminary findings of the audit with outside analysts. Bennett said he was considering stepping down because he wasn't sure if the third count was done independently of the lead auditor, Cyber Ninjas, after being denied access. They are prohibited from sharing any results now. The Senate doesn't even have access to the numbers the auditors have tallied. Senate President Karen Fann told the Epoch Times, "We should not be looking over the auditor's shoulder, telling them how to do their job or asking for premature information. When the audit is complete, then they will need to provide us with all their proof and documentation of the results." Fann and Bennett were finally able to reach a deal. Bennett will remain as a liaison and help examine the draft and final reports with access to source data used to produce the reports. 17-year-old Michael Ferreira from Ringgold, New Jersey ran 26 miles alongside a veterans support team to raise funds for homeless veterans. Michael was able to raise $12,000 and donated it to Houses for Warriors. Houses for Warriors is a nonprofit based in Colorado that helps homeless and at-risk veterans finding housing. The nonprofit put the team's donations towards housing 9 veterans. Michael and his father, Ray Ferreira, attended the opening ceremony in Denver. Ray described the location of the new house as a nice, quaint, small neighborhood, an ideal spot for veterans to recuperate. The teen said, "When I was running the marathon, I didn't really understand the impact that the fundraiser would have until I was actually standing inside of that home. It was just an amazing, amazing feeling." The father-son duo began supporting Houses for Warriors in 2020. After Michael took part in a 22 push-ups for 22 days social media challenge by the nonprofit, he and his father reached out to CEO Andrew Canals. Canals told them he was collecting donations to purchase and renovate an old middle school building into a group home, and he needed help with funding. Michael was also training for a virtual marathon event at the time. Before that, the most he had ever run was about 5 miles. The idea of supporting homeless American veterans and raising funds for them really motivated him to push through the challenging training. The 17-year-old holds veterans close to his heart. His uncle is a Marine veteran, and his 2 grandfathers were veterans. Michael is also the president of his high school student soldier support club. He's now planning to apply to the military academy. He said, "I want to serve the country no matter what. I want to study mechanical engineering and hopefully one day use the degree to help our military." Canals regards the father and son as Houses for Warriors' first outside ambassadors. He wishes he had 100 more like Michael. He said, "He's only 17. Imagine after he serves. I see a huge, bright future for that guy." More veterans of the global wars on terror committed suicide than those who actually died in combat. Brown University's Cost of War project recently estimated more than 30,000 active duty personnel and post 9/11 veterans have committed suicide. Canals believes that consistently high suicide rates among veterans is because they're homeless and have no stability in their lives. Canal's goal is to have Houses for Warriors go national by 2025, opening 150 group homes for over 1,500 veterans. He said, "We support our veterans because they fought for our country, day in and day out. I feel like they should be able to enjoy the freedom that they fought so hard for us." We send our best wishes to Canals and Michael Ferreira and wish them the great success on their journey. And that's it for today, my friends. Check out this playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me on the Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Getter. Don't forget, please sign up to the email list so that we can stay in touch. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.